Arn has embraced an eclectic set of interests that spans hundreds, if not thousands of years, not only for architecture from a structural standpoint, but what the architecture is saying about the particular time. And being somewhat of an Oklahoma history buff through high school and through my college years, my undergraduate work, one of my first weekend adventures after enrolling at Oklahoma State in Stillwater was to drive to Guthrie. And it was as though going to an archaeological site. There were pieces of what had been the grandeur of a great era that protruded out from behind a lot of aluminum facades, and there was a lot of paint, and there was a lot of dead plants, and there was a lot of wire hanging off of poles. You could tell that, that there had been a greatness about the city, but it had somehow lapsed into disrepair.
I went to Guthrie the first time. I'd heard that there was a good museum up there, and I wanted to go to that museum, so I went up there and saw that. And then I was sort of cruising around town and looking at some of the buildings there. And my first reaction was, my God, the aluminum siding salesman has been here. I think it's something that's very important that we have some good understanding of the past. And as an architect, it's an issue of looking back at what other architects have done in the past and make some kind of a measure of the quality of those works.
For those who don't know him, it's difficult for me to explain, but he can very quietly and slowly build a word picture so you can see that building in operation. He, along with several other Guthrians, kind of reconstructed what was in the buildings during the territorial era, what was being sold out of them, what the uses of the buildings were, the various office buildings. And we began to recognize that the entire culture of the city, both its commercial and civic culture, we could see it.
It was my taking this incredible feeling that I had for Guthrie and for the work of Joseph Foucault. And so, you know, the idea of doing a film titled Born Again, Historic Preservation in Oklahoma. And, you know, we did that as a 30-minute documentary, but the focus of that was really on Guthrie.
I'm Arn Henderson. This film is about historic preservation in Oklahoma.
So the next thing that I did was I wanted to look at the whole state. And with my friend Frank Parman, we worked on a book, or worked on an exhibition, and also a book titled Architecture in Oklahoma, Landmark and Vernacular. Traveling around looking at and looking for really good buildings. Historic preservation is rooted in the principle of conservation. It also really is a wonderful marker for our culture of where we have been in the past and where we might go into the future.
He has, in fact, reached for such a broad horizon of disciplines, not strictly out of academics, but because I believe that he knows that those are the enriching elements of his personal life. And not just to hold them inside, but to share those with other people. We are very fortunate to be alive at this time and across these years so that we may have had the pleasure of knowing a man like Arn Henderson.
We clearly have a really fine, I would even risk saying, a great citizen standing in front of us, and we know something he doesn't know. He doesn't realize who he is, but we do.